What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another exciting episode of Guapish Rule 34. As always, I'm your lean machine, Nico, and today I am being joined by Tanner, who's currently injecting some of that sticky icky into his veins.
That's right, I cannot get enough of that liquid marijuana.
And speaking of which, currently looking up a little bit of that angel dust, we got Jackson.
I'm not doing angel dust, I'm doing crack, you fucking retard.
That's why he's so skinny.
Yeah, it all
look at
comes
me,
together.
Dude. I've got the fucking crack build.
And snorting some shrooms currently, we got Dylan.
I like to eat mushrooms.
Fair enough. And of course, we always have Blake on the ones and twos as usual. So, boys, Tanner specifically, why is Texas trying to take our porn away?
Oh.
That's right, boys. This was from like, 2 weeks ago or whatever the fuck, but Texas passed a law requiring porn sites to have age verification. And then, porn-addicted losers fucking flip their shit at this.
I mean, if they're over 18, what's the big issue?
What do you mean?
I mean, why are they losing their shit? Obviously, that's not age-restricted to them. If they're over the age...
It's because they're porn-addicted losers, that's why. It's slightly more difficult for them to get porn now.
Boo fucking who? Who cares?
Exactly.
That seems like a bit reductive of the opposing side to you, Tanner, but alright.
All the real coomers use VPNs anyways.
Ha!
I think reductive is the correct route to go because, all of their arguments get knocked down pretty easily, and it does just become they don't like that it's harder to look at porn.
I feel like that's...
Tanner, can you try and be a little charitable here to him? Assuming that that's not the only thing on their mind,
That is the
okay?
only thing, though. That's literally it.
No, you don't think that has anything to do with, them not wanting to give, these companies, their ID and shit like that?
We all know that every website on the internet is already tracking all of our information, especially one as massive as, Pornhub. You're an idiot if you believe they don't know who you are already just because you aren't, literally showing them your ID. You're brain dead if you believe that. You should kill yourself.
Tanner, I think you're overestimating how easy it is to get information on anonymous users.
Really?
Yeah.
I sincerely doubt that and would like to see counter evidence.
Alright, you can disregard my opinion as the web developer software engineer then.
Yeah.
I really miss the time, back in the day when Tanner at least tried to conceal that he's a Fed, Personally, I say let's let the kids watch lesbians, okay? How much harm can it really do them? Especially since, kids, they spend all their day on YouTube nowadays. They know what a fucking VPN is at this point, alright? Markiplier's constantly shilling that shit. So they're gonna be fucking going around, getting on that fucking ExpressVPN. And if you'd also like to get around that porn, then please, go to our sponsor today, ExpressVPN, where you can use code Guapish to get 50% off your first month. We are not sponsored, by the way.
Yeah.
We're actually a NordVPN household.
Anyway, that's a stupid argument because you could apply that to literally every law. It's like someone being like, hey, murder should be illegal, and people are like, what about the people who get around the murder illegal law by murdering people? Idiot. It's like, okay. Do you guys think there's any law in the books that has not been broken?
I doubt it.
Yeah, fucking, don't overthrow your government or something, I guess. I don't know.
Private citizens are not allowed to detonate nukes.
I feel like that might have happened.
If there's a law specifically against detonating nukes, then yeah, that's probably true. I imagine that law doesn't exist, though.
There's a lot of goofy laws. I think it'd be fun to, go and talk about some of those. Really hyper-specific ones.
Are you talking about state laws?
Yeah, specifically, some states are you can't eat ice cream while riding a horse in town or something on Tuesdays. There's
but I've seen a bunch of lists and shit like that where it's check out these wacky specific laws you wouldn't believe are real, and it turns out almost none of them are actually real. Someone just made them up.
Dang, that's unfortunate. Some of them are really silly. I'd like for those to be laws. I'd like to see somebody eating an ice cream cone walking backwards down Main Street, and then some cops pull up and arrest them. I think that'd be pretty silly.
So I found this coin here in a coin store, and I don't know what... I don't think my camera's going to focus on it, but I don't know what country it's from. Do you guys know what country has a currency called a rand? R-A-N-D?
That sounds like
Yeah, I've 100% heard that before. Isn't that fucking...
pretty sure it's a Middle Eastern country, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it's kind of
I'm
what I'm
pretty sure
thinking
it's
too.
African.
I think it's South African, I'm guessing.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's South African. It's a South African rand.
Do any of you other guys like collect foreign currency of any semblance, like whether it be coins or bills?
I think I've got a yen coin that Nico gave me, but that's about it.
Oh no, never mind. This one is this one's 2 euros.
Ooh, those are pretty cool. I like how they're gold or whatever on the inside and silver on the outside. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, that's kind of neat. I don't like. They have a very Nazi-ish looking eagle on it.
I guess so. I don't know what
Yeah, I'm
makes
sure our listeners are very appreciative of that.
What does a Nazi eagle look like, Tanner?
Just an eagle.
Okay, so you think that our national bird?
I mean, I guess
like a Nazi.
specifically an eagle where, you know, it's posed where it's straight up and the wings are, you know, down at its sides or whatever. Or spread out a little bit at its side, but not, like, fully extended, you know?
I don't... Okay. What about you, Nico? You collect foreign currency at all?
This is a really fucking boring topic. Fuck you. Dylan, how do you feel about gentrification?
He doesn't know what it is.
Thank you, Tanner. Please explain, Nico.
Yeah, so check it out, Dylan. Gentrification is the process where, like, you know, fucking, like, white people, Dylan, move into a urban area to change it. Like, you know, we get wealthy white people moving in there to attract new businesses, and it usually ends up, like, you know, displacing the inhabitants who were previously there.
Now, I'm not gonna...
How is this not a boring topic?
Because Nico brought it up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm asking Dylan about it, Tanner.
So... Now, I'm not going to try to act like I knew what this was now that I've heard the explanation. What class, like, what subject does this usually derive from? Because I actually think I've heard this covered.
Economics and sociology, probably.
Yeah, what the fuck are you...
Would it be like, if I was to hear of this term, would that be a sociological term? Because I
think it's just a term that gets thrown around a lot.
Because I feel like I heard this in my sociology class when I went to community college. But yeah,
I wouldn't be shocked. That'd be a pretty major topic for that type of class, I'd imagine.
Nico, can you ask your question again? I don't remember what you asked.
How do you feel about gentrification?
I don't know. If it's good for the economy, then go for it. I don't know.
Based?
Here's my question. Like, how exactly do they kick the minorities out? Because, like, obviously they can't remove them by force, so they kind of have to be choosing to leave, right?
I mean...
Well, yeah, it's because, like, you know...
Okay.
Because, like,
then
these
who
people
gives
are moving...
a fuck?
Because, like, you know, these people are moving in there, it's like increasing the fucking property values and shit like that, so eventually they can't afford to live there anymore, so they have to move somewhere else.
Okay.
Yeah, like, for example, there's a family there, they've been living there all their life, suddenly a bunch of new developers are starting construction there, it's inviting a lot of more affluent people to come move in. Suddenly the property they live on is worth a lot more money, and they can no longer afford their mortgages because of their property taxes increasing a lot, as well as, you know, just general prices around where they live increasing, you know, like grocery stores, whatever, shit like that. And because of that, they have to move, and then they just get replaced by, you know, the more affluent people and segregated into a different part of the city, basically.
Right. But the alternative is we never, like, build new shit ever. So
Basically.
I would say people overblow it, but also it is more complex. Because it's kind of fucked up, you know, you're displacing people, but, like, you know, you're kind of kicking them out of where they've always lived. But the alternative is to just let these areas rot, and I don't know if that's the solution either.
Right.
What do you think would be the solution, then?
I don't know. I do think it's funny that, I don't actually know if there's really, like, sides to it. I definitely say that, like, liberal people don't like to support gentrification because it's
even though they're the ones doing it.
Yeah, even though it's displacing black people, even though they're, like, primarily the cause of it. And then, like, you know, conservatives are, I don't know if I'd say they're for gentrification, but
I'd
I think
say
they're more
they
neutral on
don't
it.
care.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was something I was trying to connect with that, but I immediately forgot when I was in the middle of my explanation about it.
You were going to give us your big solution to this.
Dude, I forgot. I give up. It'll come back to me later.
I think we need to purposely crash the economy and cause a massive deflationary spiral. That's my solution.
Ooh, that would be pretty cool.
Oh, I got it. My thread got back. So basically, you know, there's like the progressive versus, you know, conservative. Liberals are more progressive. Generally, you'd want to increase society. You don't want to leave things the way they are. And gentrification is like the antithesis of that, even though it is their, like, known ideology, basically. So it's like a contradiction. That's what I was trying to say.
Okay.
I didn't understand that.
Liberals want things to improve. They want things to progress and increase over time. Gentrification is progression of an area. Yeah.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, we can't have it improving for whiteys. They've had it too good for too long, Jackson.
Yeah, there's also of course, it's not even just a white people issue. People obviously make it just a black versus white thing, where a lot of the time it's like fucking like a ton of like it's race androgynous, but I'm just gonna bring up another one that's a big part of it as well. But fucking like Asian people moving into areas, like there's like a big tech company and a ton of like Asian people that move from China or wherever the fuck they come from, doesn't matter, and they start doing basically the exact same thing. But it's not a problem when they do it.
Mm-hmm, right. In fact, I imagine gentrification probably affects poor white people more often, because how common is it for these companies that are like building condos and shit to look at black neighborhoods and go like, this is a growth area?
I'd imagine much more common than you'd think.
I mean,
how
are we supposed to know for sure, We're not there.
Do you guys think ultimately it's the most beneficial for humanity if, like, we have forged forward with progress, despite, like, some people end up needing to, just kind of needing to get thrown into the grinder like this?
No.
I think it's economical Darwinism.
Based?
I'm really glad I said that, and you guys didn't immediately go for my throat. I thought you were guys would be like, oh, well, what the fuck does that mean, Dylan? Do you know what you're talking about? That doesn't even make any fucking sense.
Yep. I will say you'd probably want to use the phrase social Darwinism, but we understood what you meant.
We got there in the end. I got the right idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's got its pros and cons. I would generally say I like the improving of an area.
Yeah.
But maybe there's more ethical ways of doing it. The big thing is, like, a lot of the time when they do these new constructions, they displace these people and then
offer no solution.
They don't ever give them other solutions, really. Mm-hmm. Like, they kick them out of the area they live in, and there aren't a ton of other options.
Yeah.
Is the big thing I think most people have issue with. Mostly just because they're just not, like, cheap housing just doesn't exist anymore. So it's like
not
a more
in
prevalent...
like major metropolitan areas, no, but like that's also part of the problem. A lot of people are just completely married to the idea that I need to be in a city, and like so many people are allergic to moving.
Yeah.
Come on, people! I've done it like 4 times in the past 4 years. I'm sure you can do it too.
You've done it within like a 50-mile radius, my guy.
I mean, yeah, that's too. Yeah, compared to you, Tanner, it ain't nothing. But I'm just saying, like, I think it's unreasonably absurd to move 1 time a year. I think that's awful. I don't wish that upon anybody, to be quite frank. But because, like, regardless of the distance, moving just fucking sucks, dude.
True.
Yeah, it's expensive and a pain in the ass.
Yeah, I found a way to make it cheap, but that's because I've got, my ways.
You daily drive a box truck.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I could.
My thing is just like, I feel like the human species is kind of defined by adaptability, and so to take this stance that like your ideal life is you staying in the same place doing the same things all the time is kind of like, I don't think that's gonna work out for you 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
I would imagine that you're underestimating how common of a belief that is, and how many people want to do that, where they just want to get into a, like, rut's a bad term, but like,
I'm not saying it's not a common belief. I'm saying I don't think, like the energy of the universe or whatever you want to believe in is going to allow that to work out for you.
What the fuck do you mean by that, bro? Have you been, like, buying rocks or something and arranging them in your room?
Oh, no.
Nah, I mean, I'll say God, but I'm trying to make it a bit neutral for the audience out there.
Okay.
I think there are virtually no one where, if you look at all the, the infinite multiverse of different decisions they could make and the best way their life could turn out, I think staying in one place and not changing is almost always going to be placing you towards the bottom of how well your life could turn out.
Well, yeah.
You don't give yourself a lot of opportunities. It's kind of just, you put yourself in the position of having to have stuff come to you, which generally is, being passionate about stuff like that's generally not a good way of improving yourself.
Right.
In fairness.
Yeah, people are just comfortable with where they are, and they hate the idea of change because then they have to adapt things in their life, and the last thing they want to do is put more effort towards things that they are rarely comfortable with as it is, so,
And that's the problem with minorities in this country.
Gentrification is such a boring topic compared to talking about what currencies we like, guys. Come on.
Oh, we went off on a very different thread than just literal gentrification, though. We had to
that was because it spun off from that, Tanner.
You didn't even give us the opportunity to spin off our coins.
I like spinning coins.
So Tanner, what's that like fucking like political theory or whatever the fuck that like some conservative people have where it's like something acceleration, I think, where it's like
Oh, accelerationism?
Maybe it's like we need to keep voting Dems into like the presidency because they will inevitably destroy our society, and from that we can like rebuild from the rubble.
That sounds awful.
Yeah, you pretty much got basically the idea, and there's accelerationism for both the left wing and the right wing, and yet basically their idea is we should let the other side destroy the country. That way our side can fucking like be the ones to win the thing that, you know, lets us rebuild everything afterwards. It's like nihilism as a political ideology, basically. It's people throwing their hands up and going, it's unrecoverable now, so let's just speed along until the end.
That's awful.
It's a pretty bad viewpoint, too, because we've seen time and time again that doesn't really work on a smaller scale where, like, you know, a local government, for example, will keep just doing awful policy, and they'll keep getting voted in over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And for some reason, they just keep selling people on bullshit promises and they just keep letting it happen. Maybe if it was like a more major scale thing where there's actual, like, straight up societal collapse in an area, I could fix that. But I don't even know if that would do it. It'd also just be more empty promises. Like, we can fix it. Like, fucking Venezuela. The old society's collapsed basically there.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of
I'm kind of on the fence on if it's even possible for the United States to collapse, like in the way we would traditionally think of a collapse.
I think
I kind of think this country, no matter how bad it gets, we'll be able to drag ourselves along as whatever shambling corpse of an empire we end up being.
I was gonna say, I think enough of the country is passive to where I don't think if there was conflict, half the country wouldn't even participate. Mainly because
I was gonna say, there's that, but also what would be necessary for a complete collapse? We would essentially need like everyone in the entire country to like, not even everyone, we would need all the people who are in charge of food, water, and electricity to just stop doing their jobs, even though them doing their jobs also benefits them because they get access to those important things as well. And I just don't see a situation where that really happens without like us being invaded or something.
You're actually reminding me of like people talk about different ways societies can collapse or whatever, and a lot of people are saying, oh yeah, like nuclear warfare, something like that. But and then like a more modern answer I've been seeing more recently, I don't know, there's probably a name for it that I'm just blanking on, but it's basically just a bunch of systems in society just kind of fade over time, and then slowly, it's like a slow death basically, where you can't really, like, it's just like over time, so things just get worse and worse and worse until, you know, this just like everything kind of just like crumbles all at once because all the foundation's destroyed and it can't function anymore.
Yeah, like
and
infrastructure and stuff like that.
Yeah, you know, like fucking like the farmers go out, you know, there's like it's mostly like a money thing, but like maybe like electricity companies can't keep affording to do stuff, so they have to like cut back. You know, farmers start getting hit harder. Maybe there's like a big heat wave or something that killed a lot of crops, and then all these things compound together at some point to basically there's no fucking food. We don't have any of like our grids or anything. Everybody's broke as shit, and then we all just fucking die.
Yeah, I don't think it's impossible for that to happen. Like, one example that kind of jumped to mind is like the Romans had concrete. And it, like, once the Roman Empire fell, we completely lost knowledge of that.
Yeah.
And it took us, you know, a couple centuries to figure out how to make concrete again. And I think it could very much be the case that some, like, our hydroelectric power plants and some of our farming techniques and stuff might be so advanced that, you know, there are a relatively small number of people who know how to run these things, and if they go for whatever reason, then we're completely fucked. Like, we know that, like, I think Zoomers, and especially Gen Alpha, are just straight up dumber than previous generations.
But dude, they have all human knowledge in the palm of their hand.
That's the issue. Once you take it out of the palm of their hand, they know nothing.
Yeah, since they have access to it, they don't bother actually learning it.
Yeah.
And I just hear tell here and there that a lot of industries are having a hard time getting new people and giving them the knowledge necessary. Like, it's like 1% or less of this country are involved in farming. Like, all of the food we make is made by this just minuscule fraction of the population, and how many like young people are going and learning how to become farmers. It's probably not enough to replace all the farmers that are going to die off in the next generation or two.
Right.
Especially because the barrier of entry of becoming a farmer is very fucking hard. Like, you have to buy a shit ton of land. You have to buy incredibly expensive farm equipment to be competitive at all. It's a nightmare.
Dude, how hard could it really be, though, you know? You just take some seeds and you plant them in the ground. Doesn't sound any more complex than my Silicon Valley job, you know?
Right.
Yeah, it's mostly just like an inheritance thing. Things just have to keep getting passed down, but then there's, you know, dwindling amounts of interest in actually keeping it going. It takes like one person to sell to somebody and that collapses.
Yeah, exactly. Even that, because like a lot of farmers have this mindset. Like, there's pretty much two kinds of farmers. They're the ones that go, oh, this is something we keep in our family and we pass down, and then eventually you're going to get kids that are like, I don't want to do this, and they leave. Or you have farmers that are like, I'm working this hard so that I can send my kids to college and they don't have to be a farmer, in which case then you've broken the chain. So.
Yeah, exactly.
So guys, here's something that's been on my mind recently. It's something that I keep seeing like pop up in my YouTube recommendations. Jackson's profile picture currently encapsulates it. What are some like small things you've noticed men are becoming like bullied for as of late and like more insecure about, you know? So, like, for example, like, mewing has become a big thing as of late, where it's like, you know, well, I need to make my facial shape look better so that women will be attracted to me, so I need to, like, do this weird fucking thing that'll supposedly make my face look better. Or, like, fucking jelking has been making a recent resurgence, boys. Jelking to increase your dick length. And also,
I think
like,
this is just your algorithm, buddy.
Or, like, pills and shit to increase, like, your loads whenever you blast off.
What the hell?
Yeah, are you not familiar with this, Dylan?
No.
I think it's part of a larger societal issue we've got going on right now with the fact that women have an absurdly easy time finding partners. Like, it's basically trivial to them compared to the fucking mountain most average men have to climb to even get, like, approached by a woman at all.
True.
And because of that, I think a lot of men are just leaning more into trying to, like, improve themselves in any way they possibly can, just because there's that insane barrier of entry. Like, a lot of guys maybe just don't think they have a chance at all, so they just want to, like, just get in this cycle of self-improvement to overcome that barrier.
And what's fucking stupid is that sometimes you get bullied for, like, wanting to improve yourself.
Yeah. Like, you know, for example, like, I hate fat people, okay? Let's just get that out of the way right now. However, like, if there's a fat person at the gym or something like that, don't fucking bully them for being there. They're trying to, like, work on it. They're trying to improve. Like, you know, don't make fun of them.
Yeah, they're doing more than you piece of shit.
I'm not calling you fat.
I wasn't talking to you.
Oh, okay.
Or was I? Nah.
Whoa. I mean, I don't know. I was gonna go off on some random funny tangent on that subject, but at this point I don't feel like being funny with it is gonna be good, so let's move on.
So the specific example I had in mind when I suggested this topic was, this was back when I, like, asked you guys that question about whether or not you, like, modulate your voice. And I realized that the reason I, like, you know, put a bit more pep in my step when I'm speaking is because I would fucking constantly in high school be, like, asked by people, why are you so monotone? Why do you talk so monotone? Why is your voice so monotone? It was so incessant that I then fucking just, like, changed my voice to, like, you know, like, stop getting pestered with that so much. And now my voice is, like, pretty much always like this without me even thinking about it.
Right. I mean, I think it's fine. I think the whole changing your voice just depends on the scenario. You know, you're not going to talk to your friends the same way you talk to your family, at least tonally. Like, one thing for me on that subject was, like, constantly growing up, whether it was my friends or my family, I mean, even today, people would ask me, like, oh, what's wrong? You look upset. And it's just like, I don't know, I just have RBF, I guess. Like, and I don't know if that's even something you can physically change. Like, I do my best, but it's just, you know.
Just plaster a big fake smile on your face.
I'm not going to do that, because that's also creepy. Like, I don't know, it's such a hard thing, because I think I used to be kind of monotone, but, like, I was also, like, that weird quirky kid in, like, middle school and high school, and so I feel like
you were quirky already.
Nico, you didn't even go to school with me, so you need to calm down.
I was around you enough.
Yeah, I know.
You were pretty quirked up.
But I feel like I had to, like, tone it back a little bit, actually, just because I felt like I was too expressive, I guess, so I felt like I just needed to be more chilled. So I think it's really funny that you had to go the opposite direction, Tanner, because I definitely had to, like, relax a little bit, because I definitely was a bit much for people on most occasions.
I mean, I feel like that's something a lot of men go through, like, when they're transitioning from, like, middle school to high school or something like that, you know? Like, when you look at, like, a fucking middle schooler, like a freshman in high school, they do tend to be, like, that more wacky, outrageous sort of person, you know? But then, like, you know, as they grow up, it's like, oh, I need to, like, kind of chill out and seem like I'm more mature now, even if I'm, like, not actually, you know? I still want to watch, like, Zoe 101 and Victorious on the side, like, when I'm at home in my own privacy, but, like, you know, I can't
with
let
his
other
pants
people
off.
know that. Yeah, exactly, with his pants on.
Whoa.
Especially with all the stuff that Dan Schneider's been providing the guy with. I mean, like, come on, what do you expect him to do?
Dan put it inside Schneider.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's...
Isn't it nice that he was a straight pedophile this time, though?
Yeah, it's shocking, you know? We don't get too many of those.
Is that supposed to be better? What was that statement supposed to mean?
No, it's like Nico said, it's shocking, you know? Most of the pedophiles we see are gay.
I guess so.
Finally getting some straight representation.
I never framed it in my mind that way, but I guess now that you say it that way and I'm thinking about it, I guess that's true.
It's heterosexual erasure, dude.
Maybe we're just better at getting away with it, you know? I mean...
God damn it.
We.
The royal we.
The straights, you know?
God. Tanner, I got a serious question for you now.
Or do you?
I do. Do you think that women have a higher pain tolerance than men, like, actually? Or do you think that's just something women say to make them tougher?
I mean, fucking Tanner said the other week that he thinks that women who are on their period are just faking it, so...
Did I say that?
Yeah.
What a
I
statement.
don't recall that at all.
What about it would they be faking?
How much, like, pain they're in.
I don't know.
It's hard for me to say, because I do have, like, a higher pain tolerance than normal, so I'm kind of biased, but, like, I don't buy that women do have higher pain tolerance than men. Mostly because, like, I've seen, like, women get, like, slapped on the arm and then go into fucking hysterics over it, you know?
Do you think that's actually because, like, it does, like, hurt them? Or is it just because of, like, you know, the fact that they just got slapped or something like that is so emotionally damaging?
I don't think there's a meaningful difference between the two.
Oh, okay.
Women's physical health is also tied to their emotional health, so whenever
Like,
they take
I think-
physical damage...
I think pain tolerance is just as much, like, physically how much pain you feel and psychologically how much you express feeling pain.
I mean, here's, like, the thing, because I've been thinking about this topic. It's like, because usually when this, like, do women have higher pain tolerance than men? Yes, the period thing does come up. It's like, oh, well, how'd you like it if you were cramping, you felt like you got stabbed in the stomach every month and you bled? This is what makes women tougher than men. I think that's stupid. It's whatever. But also, the bigger thing here is that they're, like, childbirth. And they're like, and I guess the argument is, like, getting kicked in the nuts is way more painful than giving, you know, having childbirth, which, yeah, I don't know, maybe it's true. But, like, I feel like just because you're experiencing that sensation, I think pain tolerance is not relative at that point, because I had a legitimate way to explain this. I'm, like, forgetting how I quantified it. It's just, like, because obviously... I feel like tolerance is like, you know, tolerance is in the word, you know, it's like how much you yourself can actually stand. I don't think childbirth should be included in that because you're, like, I guess, subject to that pain. You can't necessarily handle that pain. I guess, I don't know if that's making any...
Yeah, you were running in circles there.
Yeah, I started doing the circle thing, but...
Don't worry, Dylan, I usually edit it out when you do that.
Yeah, that's so sad. I want to look like idiot in front of multiple people.
Okay, I'll leave it in from now on.
In front of all 12 of our listeners.
All 12 of our Patreon members.
Before this is even more outdated, let me just bring up this last one. Are you guys aware at all of this whole Sheldon Johnson, Joe Rogan thing?
No.
Yeah, we talked about it recently. So Sheldon Johnson, part of the Big Bang Theory cast, he
Stop.
like obliterated someone's mind the other day by screaming Bazinga in their face and their head exploded. Is that correct? Much like in Scanners?
No, that's not true at all. So, There's this reoccurring guest on the Joe Rogan podcast. This guy named Dave Rubin. No, that's not it.
Yeah,
what the fuck
Rubin
is
Report?
that guy's name? I don't know. It's some guy who's associated with the Innocence Project, which is like this group of lawyers who try and get people out of jail. And the last time he was on, he brought on this guy named Sheldon Johnson. He was like, Sheldon Johnson, they sent him away for 50 years for, giving a guy a couple stitches, but he was let out after 25, and he's a reformed man, and he's here to give you his testimony. And, they have a 3-hour podcast with the guy. And then about a month later, news stories start dropping that this man, Sheldon Johnson, has been arrested because he murdered someone and then cut him up into pieces.
Did we talk about this on the podcast?
No, we talked about it outside of the podcast.
Okay, because I remember having this conversation with somebody, and I don't remember if it was you guys or my coworkers.
I'm the only one who would have brought this up.
My coworkers could have also been talking about it, but
I guess so.
I just wanted to clarify.
But anyway, it's fucked up, It's kind of funny, but also very fucked up, and also, further proof that,
criminals deserve to stay behind bars, regardless of if they
True.
did it or not.
Well, he did do it, that's the thing. This wasn't even a case where, he was falsely imprisoned or nothing. No, he did that shit, and the judge went, I don't think you belong in society, and guess what? He was fucking right,
Yeah.
But yeah. And Joe Rogan has not acknowledged it on his podcast. I want him to talk about it so bad. He was sitting across the table from this guy for fucking 4 hours or whatever it was.
Yeah, how much of a divide do you think it would be for you guys to, want to murder somebody as opposed to, wanting to, behead them?
I see. I think it's a pretty big gap there because
I feel like it would be.
Because you can murder someone in the heat of the moment or in self-defense or whatever.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna behead them afterwards, that almost always suggests, oh, you're planning this shit.
Okay, I
there's
see
some
the question
thought
now.
that went into that one.
Yeah.
Listen, I will never understand that thought process. I think asking people to try to break that down just doesn't work out.
I just did.
I don't know. I think it takes a special
This podcast is going to be shown on my episode of Making a Murderer.
Oh, well, that's interesting.
Obviously, it wasn't a heat of the moment thing. I had premeditated beheading this man, okay?
I think it takes a special kind of mental trauma to want to cut people up into pieces, but I think
Yeah, I
that's just
definitely
my
think that
opinion.
there has to be some sort of mental break involved there to go from, I'll stab this guy to, I'm going to saw his head off.
Right,
did this guy know the person he murdered? At all? Or was it just some random person he was just
What I heard is they had both been in the same prison together, and there was maybe a gang rivalry or something up with them.
Now, I'm not going to say that's justification, but at least it's not just
It's
some
not.
random... I know, but I'm also going to say it takes another level for it to just be some random person. You're I don't know this person, and I killed them. I might as well cut them up while I'm at it. As opposed to, this person wronged me in some kind of way. They deserve the worst possible thing I could do to them.
It's fair, I
He's planning to
guess.
put this guy's, head on a pike or something as a statement to the Crips to stay out of the Bloods territory or something.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Jackson, what do you think about prison?
I think prison is cute and funny, and more people should go and experience it. It's a romp.
Jackson, do you believe in a real rehabilitative justice system?
Dude, I don't know enough about that topic to speak on it properly, but I do think that it's funny that prisons are entirely just race warfare. It has nothing to do with what you side with at all. If you are a white guy and you go to prison, you're gonna hang out with the white guys or else you're gonna die. And that's just how it fucking goes. That's, every time I've heard anybody talk about prison, it's always just, if you're a white guy, you're gonna hang out with the white guys. If you're black, you hang out with the black guys. You're Hispanic, you're with the Hispanics, and you hate all the other races. That's just how it is. Pretty funny.
Segregation at its finest.
What is Dylan gonna do when he gets there, though?
I'll have the best of both worlds, just like Hannah Montana said.
There you
He's
go.
going to be the one who unites the blacks and the whites.
Yeah, you'll be their messiah.
Dylan, maybe you should go to prison on purpose to
what would I
end
be
the race war.
Okay, let me pose this. I think this will be a fun, off-the-cusp topic. What do you guys think I would be in prison for?
Hate crime.
I can actually see that. Never mind.
Vehicular manslaughter.
I think I'm a relatively safe driver, so that's a little far off base, but I'll take it, I guess.
Accidents happen.
Tax evasion.
I mean, I just
not like on purpose, but like you accidentally forgot to pay your taxes one year.
Ironically enough, I actually just did my taxes today, so
I still haven't done mine.
that's unfortunate. Yeah, for some reason, I guess my company is just not mailing or handing out their W-2s, and I guess we were just expected to know when our W-2s are ready so we can, like, print them off ourselves and do our taxes, which I've never heard of that happening before. I don't know if you guys have, but I thought that was dumb as shit.
Yeah, that's pretty silly.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I still don't have my W-2 from one of my jobs last year, and I don't know what the fuck I'm supposed to do about that.
I'd assume contact your employer.
Yeah,
I tried contacting him. He didn't text me back.
Oh.
I mean, at that point, that's if the IRS is like, "Hey, you're not being honest," and you're like, "Dude, go talk to this company. Go fucking sue them or something." I don't know.
Right.
And speaking of people who we need to sue,
Whoa.
it's time, boys, for Guapish at the movies.
Guapish at the movies!
I know I let you down. I've been a fool myself. I never thought I'd live for someone else.
I don't remember the movies we watched this week.
Well, luckily we have Jackson here to remind us of what we watched this week.
Our Patreon pick for this week was requested by our lovely Patreon Tutbot for only $1 a month, and it is the 2022 film Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. Who wants to talk about this film?
I'll talk about this film, okay? So, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. So, in this movie, Puss has been living La Vida Loca a little too much, so he's on his last life, boys. Luckily, there is a wishing star that will allow him to get all of his lives back, so he races against other fairy tale characters like Goldilocks, Little Jack Horner, and the embodiment of death itself to get there first. And along the way, he learns to trust other people and to just fucking live life, dude.
I thought this was...
Here's my haiku as inspired by Puss in Boots: The Last Wish.
When are you gonna give us a haiku?
Puss on his last life, on a quest to make a wish, but finds his first life. That one's a thinker.
Yeah, that one is a thinker.
Yeah, I thought this movie was pretty good. I enjoyed it a pretty decent bit.
Only pretty good.
No, I think this is one of my favorite movies that we watched so far.
Dude, this movie fucks.
This movie, I mean, to be fair, like, I heard a lot of people like, "Oh my god, this Puss in Boots movie is so good." Like, and I've heard people be like, "Oh, it's so good for a kid's movie." I don't know if I'd particularly mark this as a kid's movie.
It's absolutely a kid's movie, dude.
I mean,
I think that, like, so it was fucking, what's that dude's name? Fuck, I just had on the tip of my tongue. God damn it. John Bluth, that's him.
Okay.
Yeah, Don Bluth, Don Bluth. Don Bluth had some statement about this because, he's known for, like, making kids movies, but they do tend to have a little darker elements to them. And what he said was that, like, children that can, like, handle much more mature things than you'd expect. What matters, though, is that you have, like, a happy ending at the end of it, and then they're able to handle it. And, I feel like that's a sort of philosophy that a lot more people should have, like, approach with whenever they're making, like, quote-unquote children's media and stuff like that, It's like...
Unless you're a pedophile, then they can't handle stuff, okay?
Which, like, yeah, this movie had some really dark shit going on in it, Like, fucking death. Holy fuck. He was so
crazy.
intimidating throughout this entire movie. He was fucking awesome. He's kick-ass, dude. I love that guy. And, like, especially, like, this movie's very emotionally mature as well, guys.
But is it, or are you just a baby?
Well,
literally, my only problem with this movie is some of the kitty humor is fucking stupid, but like, whatever.
Hey man, it's just, the embodiments of being a cat. They always land on their feet, they love cream, they have 9 lives, they have cat-like reflexes, their hair stands on end when they sense a threat.
What does that have to do with what I just said?
I think that it was pretty cool that they had it in the movie. I don't know,
kitty, like Kiddie.
Oh.
Like childish.
Okay.
Not fucking... whatever.
Listen, dude.
Cat humor, what?
I
don't understand why they had so many jokes about fucking cats in this movie.
That's why I was confused. No, I think we, I honestly, at the end of this movie, tried to think back and see if I had any issues with this movie, and I don't think I had any prominent, like, I hardly ever do with movies, to be completely frank with you guys, but I thought back and I was like, I don't think I could find anything truly wrong with this movie. And I was
not
hoping...
enough English.
I speak pretty good Spanish, so that wasn't really...
No, you don't.
He's fluent in it, Tanner, don't you know?
Oh,
I
yeah.
think
Dylan, what am I about to say? Como mucho pantalones.
You want a lot of pants.
No, you're wrong. I said I eat a lot of pants, dumbass.
Then you didn't phrase anyway.
Como mucho pantalones.
Yeah, my brain changed como to something else. Regardless. But yeah, no, I legitimately, like, as hard as I tried, I could not find anything wrong with this movie.
I mean, yeah, I think for me, like, I don't really have any negatives for the film. Like, the only thing I can really think of is, like, I feel like the weaker part of it is, like, the Goldilocks subplot. Like, you know, it's fine. But also, like, the way in which fucking, like, the way in which it's, like, revealed that, like, oh, her big wish is, like, actually she wants to, like, have a family or whatever feels weird the way that they end up doing it in the end, where it's like the bears are like really suspicious of what the wish is, even though they don't really have a reason to be suspicious of it.
Yeah, I guess
That part just felt a little forced for me, but overall it was fine.
Is the fact that she won't tell them what it is not reason enough to be suspicious?
I mean, not really, I don't think. Like,
they had some weird child's explanation to, I guess, match the tone of the movie. Something about a birthday wish or whatever.
Yeah,
I don't remember what they called
Eh.
It's whatever.
If they
I
say
don't know.
what it is, it won't come true, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I can agree with Nico on that. I didn't have a problem with the Goldilocks and Three Bears. I thought it was a fine subplot. At the end of the movie, I was kind of like, alright, it's cool that they were like, you know, the family that she had, that was the family she needed all along kind of thing. But also I was kind of like, besides introducing just a random third wheel, like, bandit troop, like, I didn't see the point of them being in it, just, you know, just to have more bodies in the movie.
I mean, yeah, I think it was good for, like, the sort of variety of villains they have here, because, like, you know, Goldilocks is, like, the sympathetic side. We also have, like, a force of nature and death, and then, like, Jack Horner's just a complete fucking psycho, so, you know, it's a really good variety there. And by the way, Jack Horner, A+, no notes for him. Fucking love everything about that guy. His design is just phenomenal.
Yeah, dude had no chill. I thought he was a phenomenally crafted villain, along with... I thought both the... I don't know if you'd consider Death a villain.
Oh, he's absolutely a villain.
But they're both very well-crafted villains. I thought they were extremely fitting for this movie, and the way their plot ended up presenting themselves was very good. I like how Death was just like, oh, you're no fun to hunt anymore because you don't fear death, and you to learn to live the life you currently have instead of wanting to earn more so you could, you know, be more rambunctious, or the word I was going to use.
Rambunctious.
Rambunctious was the filler word. I definitely had a better word, and I lost it when I got to it. But you know, I like the lessons that ended up presenting themselves. Like, I forgot that this was a kids movie for a brief moment, and then when I saw that, you know, these lessons, if you would call them lessons, came out at the end of the movie, I was like, huh, it's a really fun, like, interesting way to paint these lessons. So I thought it was really good in the end. And obviously, you know, the animation was phenomenal. I thought the animation was incredible.
Yeah, no, I think this movie is really good overall. I like the exploration of, like, the inner mind going on with the trip to the star thing. I think the villains are pretty good generally outside of Goldilocks. I wasn't really a fan of her at all. I like the banter between the bears and stuff, but them being part of the plot was a little messy for me. I don't like how quickly they resolved, though I do like the messaging behind it in the end, and it was pretty emotional. I'm going to be honest, I don't really like Puss in Boots that much as a character. That's not really that much of a detriment, though. I just don't really like his personality. Also, I fucking really don't like the dog. The dog's really annoying. I know he's supposed to be, like, the empathy character of the film, but I just thought he was really fucking annoying, and basically anytime he spoke, I was like, oh my god, shut the fuck up. I don't care.
I mean, like, when we were first introduced to the dog, I was expecting to hate him, but... Because, like, he immediately seems like he's just gonna be some fucking stupid, like, comic relief sort of character. But he ended up being, like, the more, like, emotional fucking core to this movie overall. He's what allowed, like, Kitty and Puss to, like, open up and, like, and you know, start to, like, work on their trust issues and shit like that. Like, the scene where, like, you know, Puss has a fucking, not heart attack, but panic attack, and he just, like, comes over to comfort him. That was fucking great, dude. I feel like, you know, it was very emotionally resonant overall.
Solid moment.
Yeah, no, I think they could have done that without having him be really fucking annoying as well, which they were doing primarily just because he's some quirky, funny guy, but it just didn't work on me, so I mostly just found him annoying. I do agree he was integral for the plot because he was kind of that, like, nuanced perspective of emotions that they could both latch onto and grow off of, but I think they could have done it with a different character. Yeah, I think Death's cool. I don't think his voice fits him very well, but that's like a very minor gripe.
Jackson
I like
wishes
the general.
he was speaking Japanese instead.
No, I do. I like the general messaging of the film with how you just like make your single life count. Live what you've got. I appreciate that. Jack Warner's a fun villain. He's got silly powers. Yeah, I don't really have a ton to say. The ending seemed a little, I don't know, probably not to you guys, but the ending seemed a little abrupt to me as well.
Yeah, you're hoping that they would like actually go and explore far, far away instead.
No.
You were hoping there'd be a full 2-hour wedding between Puss and Kitty.
No, I don't know. I just the final fight. I mean, I like the death part of the final fight. I don't know. I don't really know how to like verbalize it. It just didn't like kind of click in my head.
Well, it's a bummer. Hopefully you'll be able to verbalize your ranking for this film, though, Jackson. What'd you give it?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I give it an A+.
Solid.
Yeah, decently solid ranking. Personally, I gave this movie an S tier. Really good movie overall, I'd say. Really enjoyed it.
I'm giving it an S+.
Whoa.
You didn't really say hardly anything about it. I'm shocked you gave it an S+.
There's not much to say. It's it's pretty much perfect.
Yeah, I was gonna say this was a relatively perfect movie, and it is much akin to the first Spider-Man Spider-Verse movie in many regards for me. So I also
I
gave
like
it
the
an S+.
term relatively perfect.
Yeah. It's a good term.
Well, nothing can be truly perfect.
What'd you give it, Dylan?
S+.
And that lands it at an S overall.
Holy
Holy
smokes.
shit.
I did not expect 2 S pluses for this movie, gonna be completely honest.
I was expecting
Really?
a couple S tiers, so
I expect you guys to put in like S minus. I did not expect S plus.
I was expecting Nico to put an S+ with us.
It wasn't that emotionally resonant. Come on, dude.
I mean, what does the emotional resonance have to do with the rest of it? You know, it was good in all other aspects.
Yeah, what does that
Why is
even
that
have
the-
to do with
why,
anything?
why is that the only aspect you're basing the ranking off of?
He's making a joke, dude. Jackson, what else did we watch?
The next movie we watched this week was my pick, that being A Silent Voice, the 2016 drama film, basically. So we've got our main character guy. He bullied another girl in elementary school, middle school, whatever the fuck it was. I think it was elementary school. It doesn't really matter. Because she's deaf, and she was being kind of like, because of her being deaf and the school not being set up properly to accommodate her, everybody kind of looked at her as a burden. So they started bullying her. Eventually, it gets, word about her being bullied, and then everything flips a script. The main character now is the one getting bullied, and the rest of the film's based around that, and him trying to, fix his relationship that he broke with the girl, kind of understanding her perspective, working through his depression, and trying to kind of like fix his life up and move on from all of that. That's basically the plot synopsis. I also think this movie is really fucking good. This was my favorite
Hang
anime
on a
film.
second, Jackson. Hang on a second here. Tanner, go on with your haiku.
Why the
Here's
haiku?
my-
Why? You're breaking my train of thought.
Oh,
Yikes.
well, you're gonna have to hold on to that fucking engine. Here's my haiku as inspired by A Silent Voice. Middle school drama. I love bullying the deaf. We're all assholes here.
Okay, Jackson, real quick here. Before you get back on that train, okay, Mr. Conductor. Dylan, important question for you.
Ah, shit.
I Want to Eat Your Pancreas. Was it better or worse than this
Worse.
movie? Worse. Thank God.
Which one is he saying is worse than which one?
Pancreas is worse.
Okay.
Respectable. Jackson, go ahead.
Yeah, so this movie's fucking awesome, and like I was trying to say, this was in fact my favorite anime movie of all time prior to watching Wolf Children, which has usurped it. And I've watched this movie a million times, I've analyzed it a ton, and I've definitely started picking apart more of my flaws with it going forward. I think this movie's really good. I don't think it's perfect. I've got my gripes. But overall, I think it's really solid. It's it's a KyoAni film, so it's absolutely gorgeous. The character animations are incredible. I think the soundtrack is pretty cool, especially because this is a fun fact. Because deaf people obviously can't really listen to fucking music. It's mostly like a vibrations kind of thing they experience, and you guys are probably hearing the weird piano setups in the song. Or in the movie, and that was because they were trying to kind of simulate a little bit about what a deaf person would experience music-wise from a person that can hear's perspective, which I think is cool. There was a lot of thought that went into this film, which I can appreciate a lot.
Throughout this movie, the two movies that very, very distinctly came to mind was I Want to Eat Your Pancreas and the Bluebird one. God, I can't remember. I don't know why I can't remember the name. But
Liz the Bluebird.
Liz the Bluebird. I was drawing a lot from that. This movie just sets the same tone as that, and they don't tell the same story, obviously, but like their stories are like relative. They run parallel, and I remember watching it and thinking a lot of how this movie kind of almost followed the lines of I Want to Eat Your Pancreas in some ways. I remember at the very end when they were at the firework part, and she's like, I want to stay, but I need to go finish my homework. And I was like, that's a little suspicious, but I mean, she has talked about wanting to hurt herself many times, but that's probably fine. And so she walks off, and then the guy gets like a bad feeling. I'm like, you don't... Because I wanted this movie to have a happy ending. I really wanted this movie to have it. I wanted to love this movie. I didn't want to hate it, because I Want to Eat Your Pancreas would have been great if there wasn't just a fucking murder at the end and killed the whole vibe.
That's what killed the vibe.
Well, it was a couple other things, but...
I mean, yeah, so, like, when, like, fucking... That, like, bad vibe he was getting, you see, like, fucking... When she's, like, walking away, she signs some shit, like, goodbye, or whatever. However, like, normally throughout the rest of the film, whenever they, like, part or whatever, you know, she signs, like, something like, see you later, something along those lines.
I was gonna say that, you son of a bitch! I had that in my fucking notes you stole from me! I was waiting for Dylan to shut the fuck up so I could say that, and then you stole it.
That's why I cut in, so I could say it first, you son of a bitch!
Fuck!
Did she even say anything?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she signed saying goodbye instead of her normal, like, see you later.
I wouldn't have caught on to that, clearly.
Obviously.
But anyway...
Obviously.
It's a really subtle detail.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jackson analyzed the shit out of this movie. I would expect nothing less. But yeah, and then we got to the apartment, and I was like, oh shit, they're gonna pull out Want to Eat Your Pancreas, and I'm not gonna like the ending of this movie, much akin to that one. And then he ends up grabbing her. I'm like, you better not drop her. And then he ends up saving her because she chooses to live. And then he falls. And I thought it was going to have this big revelatory, like, ending where it's like, oh, now he's also deaf. And it's like the quote-unquote reparations for, like, you know, the rest of this movie where now he's deaf as much as she's deaf. But they both also already speak sign language, or speak sign language. And I thought that would have been a really cute ending. But, you know, I guess he's just 100% fine. There's no issues with him falling from that height that apparently would have also killed her. So I thought that was a little strange, but regardless,
Bro got fucking hospitalized for, like, presumably, like, a month.
I mean,
like,
the timeline doesn't I mean, I get that it gave, like, enough time for her to, like, go around and apologize to everybody, and, like, you know, but
we
regardless.
also saw, like, visually the days passing as Ueno was meeting up with what's her name? Deaf chick. I'm forgetting her name. I don't know if I remember Ueno's, but not the main character's name.
But regardless of, like...
Same here, dude.
Regardless of time frame, I still was expecting, like, some kind of condition that he was going to get stuck with, but no, he was perfectly fine. But yeah, no, I was really pleased with the ending. I was glad that they went the route that they did. And yeah, I like the overall messaging. I like how they had, like, the X's over people's faces, where it was like, he's, like, not paying attention to these people. But then as he slowly starts accepting people back into his life, they, like... The X comes off and you can hear them more clearly. And I like the big revelation at the end where he just learns to, you know, not shut out the world. And, like, just because he did an awful thing doesn't mean he doesn't deserve to live and all that stuff. So then he finally takes in the world, like, just all at once and can finally hear everything going on around him, you know, like laughter and, you know, friends getting along, you know, just people maybe, you know, all that stuff. I really liked the ending. I thought the ending was amazing.
Yeah, the ending's gorgeous.
I think the ending is good, however, it felt very abrupt to me, personally.
Why?
Why is that?
Explain yourself. Because I think the ending does a really good job, because the whole movie's building to, you know, it's this guy trying to work through accepting people, he's working through his depression, he's slowly taking off the bandage of meeting people and getting to know them and, you know, being comfortable with people again after hating himself and not thinking he's, like, deserving of this for so long. And then finally he gets these revelations after what the fuck's her deaf names, you know, tells him about these things, and then suddenly he's kind of realizes that he's, you know, had a wrong worldview, and that's when he's able to, like, finally see the world for what it truly is. And, like, even throughout the movie, people aren't, like, he's always thinking about how people are treating him poorly, but, like, people are treating him pretty normally. Like, it's kind of all just in his head.
Yeah, it's like 100% all just in his head.
And I think that's cool that he's finally just accepting the world for what it is now, because, you know, the depression veil is kind of, like, slowly lifting itself off him a little bit. I think it was very well done.
I think this is a just fine movie. It's not for me. I don't like melodramas, so I didn't really like this one.
But you really liked I Want to Eat Your Pancreas, Tanner.
I mean, define really like.
You gave it like a fucking A tier or some shit.
I did not.
He gave it A+, dipshit.
A plus?
Yikes.
A+.
Are you sure?
I just looked it up.
Yeah, you did. I gave it an A. You gave it an A+.
Okay. Well, that I liked that. I Want to Eat Your Pancreas was much smaller and more contained, and that one didn't seem as melodrama-ish to me because like the drama that was there was like justified by the circumstances. Like this one's a melodrama to me because like all of the issues are just because everyone is an asshole and won't like talk to people.
Middle school is an awkward time.
He's expecting the person that's depressed and hates himself to openly communicate with somebody about an issue that they also suffered with, because it like totally wouldn't be awkward and potentially send him even further into a spiral if things don't work out.
Yes.
He should just be like chill and not be depressed anymore.
Yes. It's the exact same problem I had with All My Friends Hate Me. Pretty
Tanner
much.
doesn't understand how emotions work.
I've mastered my emotions. I know how they work too
I'm
well,
a big,
actually.
brawny dude, and because of that, anybody that doesn't match my energy is a fucking dipshit.
True. Factually correct.
I think that's a really awful way of looking at things, but to each their own.
Yikes.
I think you should be able to be more introspective about emotions and things like that, but that's just me. I do agree, though, this movie is pretty melodramatic, especially at the start. They're just like so mean, and the deaf girl is so fucking nice and reciprocative of it.
Yeah.
It's a little unnatural. The mean stuff isn't that bad. The school not being set up for a deaf girl is fine. I think that's honestly pretty normal. Like a single deaf girl in the class, and suddenly everybody has to adapt around her. I think that's all fine, but her being so chill with everybody and just like forcing herself to be nice is pretty unnatural to me.
Yeah, I do think that like the early parts of this movie feel a little emotionally manipulative.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with that.
I guess that does like bring up a thought I had when I started the movie. Within like the first 15-20 minutes, I was like, damn, this movie is so harsh on like the emotions and shit. Like there's so much drama. Like if this is the whole movie, I don't know if I'm gonna like this movie. I hope like this just turns into one of those I forgive you movies.
Yeah, I was thinking the exact
like,
same thing during the early parts of this movie. I was like, holy fuck, they're just not letting up here. Is this the entire movie?
And then it mellowed out for a hot second. I was like, okay, good. And then it ramped up again, but not quite as high. And I was like, okay, this is serviceable, but like also now they're adults, so there's like a more mature aspect in which they can handle things. And now there's actually people trying to like make things better instead of just children being children. So
yeah, speaking of like making things better though, I wasn't a huge fan of like the way like all the old friends come together at the end there, because it's like, you know, fucking deaf girl goes to all of them and is like, hey, like fucking this is what happened, I'm so sorry, like you guys had to like break up because of me and shit like that. But like, yeah, like they come and say like, oh, we're so sorry, but like we don't see that like any of them have like actually changed or anything like that. Like, this is the exact same thing that fucking glasses girl said before, where it was like, oh, I'm so sorry that, like, all that stuff happened before, and then, like, you know, she's doing the exact same thing here again, and it's like, you're probably just gonna do this again the next time I'm, like, I call you out on your bullshit, so, I don't know, that part just didn't sit super right with me, and also just the fact that the redhead dude is still here, it's like, who are you, man? We know nothing about you. What's your deal? Why are you rolling up like you're part of the squad right now?
I mean, Jackson, please correct me if I'm wrong, because I tried to actually psychoanalyze that part. But I kind of just viewed that as, like, friend groups always have dynamics, and although they're all assholes to each other, I feel like they learned, like, a mature way to handle their dynamics with each other. They understand how they're gonna be, and they understand that they had shit in the past, and maybe you can't, because like I don't think that everybody thinks you have to no matter what 100% get over all shit that's happened in the past. Sometimes you're just not gonna go over it, but sometimes you need to move forward anyway, and I think that they did that as like a group, and they acknowledge each other's weaknesses and like how they're gonna treat each other, but they realize that they can be friends despite that, and then maybe not collaborate or like hang out like they would or like they thought they were going to, but you know, just decided to, I guess, coexist in this sense.
But Dylan, this film is all about like emotionally maturing and growing. It would be very strange if like the friend group who has problems with this sort of stuff doesn't learn or grow from them.
I mean, from what I was getting, it sounded like they didn't learn from what had happened. So that's why I was trying to.
Yeah, because we didn't see that they did.
I'm kind of on the fence with you guys. The characters in the background are more of like a vehicle for the two main characters' growth rather than seeing them have growth in and of themselves. But I also would say that another flaw with this movie for me is that obviously, this is an adaptation of a manga, and they tried to adapt things as best they could. And because of that, you can't adapt things perfectly. And because the manga is a lot longer than a movie, they have to try to incorporate things that are part of that, but not super related to directly what the plot of the movie is trying to address. So because of that, the cast isn't very tight. We've got all these characters, and a lot of them don't really matter that much to the plot. Like the fucking short-haired chick was basically a non-character.
Wait, you're
boyfriend
talking about like
of
the younger sister?
No, I'm talking
okay.
about I'm talking about the girl you forgot about. Apparently, that was also part of the cast.
Oh, yeah, like the fucking original friend. Yeah.
Yeah, the non-character that you forgot
Okay,
about.
yeah.
She was basically a non-character. The fucking, the boyfriend of what's her fucking face doesn't really matter. Ueno had some character development. I think she was fine. But yeah, the cast isn't super tight, which I don't think is necessarily that big of a deal for me. Because it introduces some more character drama and more reason to do it, but I definitely don't think it's as strong, and I think some of it takes the movie down a bit.
Yeah.
Also, there's definitely a few plot contrivances, like for example, fucking Deaf Girl going onto the bridge, and of course it's like the same night that our main character wakes up from his coma and decides to go fucking break out of the hospital and meet her on that bridge for some fucking reason. Or goes, oh,
well, like,
classic,
that's their place they always meet, so it kind of makes sense for, like, him to assume that she might, well, it's also, like, the middle of the night, so why would she actually be there, so never mind.
Yeah, and if you just woke up from, like, falling to your death practically from a hospital, and you think, oh, yeah, I need to go break out of the hospital, take out all these things, keeping me healthy, and fucking just see if there's a girl on a bridge I can talk to. No, it's stupid. It's convenient.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's, like, near her house or, like, on the way out. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, you could hear her screaming. I don't know. It's a plot convenience. We're trying to make excuses for something that just wasn't properly set up.
Yeah.
Maybe there's some psychological link. Who cares? Or when she was about to kill herself as well. Of course, she goes. The person that always carries a camera with them 24/7 wherever they go. Suddenly, like, oh yeah, can you get my camera?
Yeah, that was also a little convenient.
Why the fuck wouldn't they get their damn camera? Why are you asking them to get your fucking camera?
Because they want to spend time with their mom.
Yeah, but all of that stuff is not that relevant for me, mostly just because the character drama for this movie is incredibly well done. I think the progression of both of the main characters, the deaf girl getting over hating herself and kind of finally accepting who she is and how people view her, and our main character finally kind of accepting himself for his past actions. He realizes that it's fucked up, but he can move on from that as he sees other people have started to accept him as well. I think all of that is incredibly well done. Plus with the soundtrack and the animation all together, it makes a very cohesive and well done package, and I can see why this is like one of the highest rated anime films of all time.
Yeah, for sure. I think the premise is really unique. Just like aside from like one of the like main leads of it being deaf, like this idea of like having the main character be someone who like was a bully at some point. It's usually not someone who will typically follow in these types of movies, and like fucking the sort of trauma that they've had from doing that kind of awful shit to somebody, and just seeing how they like want to try and repent for it. I think is a really cool angle for it.
I agree. I have one final note from what I wrote down about this movie. You could probably take this different ways. You guys might disagree with this analysis, but the sister always taking pictures of dead things. I think you could potentially infer as her, because I'm sure she's aware of her sister's, maybe not her intentions, but she knows about her being depressed and all these things like that. And you could infer her taking all these pictures and hanging them up everywhere, both as an artistic expression and then also because she's trying to show how fucking dire and like bleak all these like dead bodies look, to maybe try to dissuade her sister from killing herself potentially in a heavy-handed way.
Isn't that literally exactly what she said in the movie?
Did she say that?
Yes.
Oh, that's funny. Well, then there we go. I'm right. I didn't remember her ever saying that, but
yeah,
there we go.
It was. I think it was after she tried to kill herself, and like main boy was in a coma. She's like, yeah, I tried to hang up all these pictures to show her what it would look like and maybe dissuade her from trying to kill herself, but I guess it didn't work.
That's funny as shit. Yeah, I did not remember that being a line in the film, but I wrote it down.
That's why you listen to it in English. I had to read this shit, Jackson.
Oh, okay.
You motherfucker.
Well, anyways, any final thoughts about this film?
I guess not.
All right, Tanner, let's start from the bottom. What are you giving us?
B+.
Gonna be some staunch differences here.
Damn.
I am surprised you didn't go the angle when we pressed you about I Want to Eat Your Pancreas of, oh yeah, I'm going to re-rank that movie like Nico normally does, and instead you defended it and still went that direction. Anyways, Nico, go for it.
Yeah, like, afterward I tried to looking up some dojins. There really aren't any good ones for this film, so, like, I can't give it that high of a ranking. I think just, like, an A.
Dylan?
Alrighty, I'm shocked, as Nico said. Yeah, I know, I thought this movie was phenomenal. I loved the messaging. I gave it an S-.
Dylan, I'm glad you said S- because I also said S-.
Let's fucking go!
Yeah, and that lands it at an A+ overall.
I'm
Let's
shocked
go.
that for, like, your second favorite movie, you didn't give it higher than that.
I mean, he gave Wolf Children S+, I believe, so not far off base.
I mean, yeah, I was expecting, like, a fucking S or S+ here.
And I think there's a 1 rank gap between Wolf Children and A Silent Voice. I've watched this movie too many damn times, and I watched it too much in, like, recent succession, I think. So a lot of the, like, emotional impact scenes, I don't think had as much of an effect on me as they did previously. Like, when I first watched this movie, going into it totally blind, not with as much of, like, a fucking stupid, I hate movies film critic perspective. I wasn't thinking about it too hard. I was just mostly really caught up in the emotions of everything, and they worked incredibly well on me. And because of that, I had a very big attachment to this film. And I still think it's an incredibly well done film, but the emotions just didn't hit me nearly as hard this time around. They did of course hit me, but just not as much.
So has this movie ever made you cry before, would you say?
The first time I watched it, absolutely.
Okay. Dylan, did it make you cry at all?
What do you think the answer to that question is?
I'm assuming yes.
I'm a very emotional person.
Based.
Yeah. I got a little bit welled up. You might not know what scene this would have been. It might be a little shocking, but it was the part where fucking the mom and the sister were like fucking apologizing profusely for like what happened after like he saved the sister.
Yeah, that part got me a little
that part's
bit.
really well done.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't even talk about how well done the scene was with, like, the mom. And we're going back, Tanner wants to fucking kill himself right now.
Why the fuck are we still talking about this movie?
Because it's a great movie,
You
Tanner!
may have not hated it, but it also landed very highly. So, unfortunately, you're the only one here that didn't enjoy it. But yeah, no, like, how well done the scene was where his mom finds out about him, trying to kill himself, and also just how cool his room was. He's like selling all his things. It's like a really good example of show not tell.
Yeah.
And then slowly over the course of the movie, you can see him get more possessions and stuff, and kind of like build up his room again after selling off stuff. I think that's cool. I think it's fun world building. Anyways, I'm gonna stop yapping about this film.
What was the overall rank? I don't think we said that.
I did. It's A+.
Okay.
You missed it.
Yeah. So Tanner, do you think you'll be re-ranking I Want to Eat Your Pancreas down the line then?
We'll have to see when we get closer to re-ranking time. Right now, I say no.
You were shocked that I would suggest that you gave an A, and then the fact that it's an A+ was like, okay, well, never mind. Yeah, I guess it deserves that.
I'm gonna be honest, going into this, I thought I had both of them at the same rank.
Okay.
Damn.
Our final picked movie, not our actual final movie this week, was Dylan's pick, that being the 2010 film Burlesque. Take us away, playa!
Yeah, so basically this movie's about a farm girl from Iowa. She wants to move into the big city and do things with her life. So she moves into LA, Hollywood, and she looks for background dancing, background singing gigs. She eventually stumbles upon this lounge called Burlesque, and it's the most incredible thing she's ever seen. She wants to get in. So she works her way in as a waitress, and then eventually she works her way onto the stage. They find out she could sing. She gets, she starts moving on up in life, and then obviously with progression and, making moves, making money, there's some dissension between, people. And so then what ends up happening is people start having a little bit of a fallout, and people come back to, why they're doing what they're doing. So she eventually ends up saving the lounge because it's like in horrible debt. It's about to be, defaulted on like a mortgage or something. And they save the lounge, and she continues doing what she loves, and everybody gets along, and everybody's happy in the end. The end.
Here's my haiku, as inspired by 2010's Burlesque, starring Cher and Christina Aguilera. Mm-hmm. Just a small-town girl, living in a lonely world. What's wrong with your face? Cher is very disturbing to look at consistently.
Yeah, she's rather horrific, in fact. I believe I described her as being Skeletor-esque.
Yeah,
true.
I recall that.
What did we think about our first Guapish chick flick, guys?
This movie sucked.
Yeah, it sucked.
It's pretty doo-doo. This came out in 2010, dude. Can you believe that?
No, I thought it was older.
That means in 2009, someone was like, dude, we should make a movie about a girl from the Midwest moving to LA. Like, what? This is... I'd say that's my biggest complaint. This is just the most impossibly generic film I can fucking imagine. It's like, oh, the small town girl moves to the Los Angeles and then she gets blown away by the glitz and the glamour. I guess the only difference is that a lot of times those stories will have the like lesson be, oh, you shouldn't be whoring yourself out for money. But no, this movie is like, dude, fucking do it. It's sweet.
Look how much fun they're having.
Yeah, this shit's kick ass.
This movie is so insanely poorly written and generic. It's pretty incredible. I love that they have this like massive conflict in the movie. And it's like basically the entire emotional thrust of it is the fact that this bar is losing a shit ton of money. It's unsustainable. They can't keep doing this. Even when they have like this new star, they just are not making enough money to keep continuing. And the payoff of the film is them selling the air rights above it. And that saves the bar by them getting enough money to pay their mortgage for it, even though they're not going to have the money to keep paying it later down the line? Or is the implication supposed to be that they can fully afford it now? It's stupid, and it's really just like a non-conclusion.
Maybe they were just like in massive amounts of debt and they just couldn't keep up with it or some shit.
Yeah, they were behind on a mortgage, and that check that they got at the end covered it.
The part that's just so mind-blowing to me personally is the fact that they paint this rich guy as a bad guy. Like, he's doing nothing wrong here.
I mean, it's not business-wise, he's not. Like, personally, like, they're taking it personal. Like, she loves this bar a lot. She wants to keep it running. It's what she loves to do. It's what she loves to see.
But it's failing, and she can't keep it running whatsoever, so he's gonna buy it.
Yeah, but she doesn't want that.
It's gonna go away anyway.
Well, they were gonna figure it out. They made it clear that they were gonna find some way to make it work out.
There seemed like there were gonna be no options. And at the end of the movie, there's a massive ass pull, and they're like, okay, never mind. It's all solved now. Great. But, like,
Right.
this rich guy is totally fine here. They should have taken his money.
I don't think they paint him to be super evil, though.
They absolutely
They definitely do.
They don't. They don't. And he's not like super evil, but he's absolutely the main villain, if quote unquote villain of the story. Freaking.
I mean, I guess
he's constantly shown kind of being like a little bit of a womanizer. He's like harassing quote unquote the main character. All this stuff. And then, of course, he's also the one that's trying to destroy their bar and destroy everything they love and bring them to the ground, even though he's literally just trying to, like, help them out financially because they're fucked anyways. And he's, like, super nice to the main character. Like, what the fuck? Like,
I mean, he was gonna tear down the bar anyway, though, which is not what they want.
Yeah, but the alternative is their bar just getting fucking auctioned and him buying it for way cheaper anyways. And of course, this is all under the assumption that the ass pull wouldn't happen because ass pulls are stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, they just wanted to try until they failed, and they didn't fail, so...
Yeah, they're fucking stupid for that. It's
well, clearly
it's
not if it worked out for them at the end.
Just because somebody's fucking figures it out in the end because of sheer dumb luck does not mean it's still not dumb. They got lucky. Also, the main character is like a fattest Mary Sue. Holy shit, man. She actually has no character growth at all through the entire film. She's just perfect the entire film. And then is the one, of course, she's the savior of it all at the end. Like, it's actually insane.
Yeah, there's so much shit throughout this film where it's like, we just need something to happen here, okay? Like, the biggest fucking symbol of that is when, like, Cher is just, like, walking out and she's, like, gonna leave or whatever the fuck. And the sounds guy's like, hey, Cher, you want to sing a song now? And she's like, okay, I guess I will. It has nothing to do with the film whatsoever. She's just there to sing a song and then she leaves. It impacts nothing.
It's a song for the show that's going on the next night.
What are you? How does that impact anything?
We never see it again. It doesn't have anything to do with anything.
Well, because, you know, sometimes the songs have to do with what's going on currently in the state of the movie.
It didn't. I also love all the scenes that literally, like, happen for no fucking reason. Like, I realized after we saw it that scene where, Christina Aguilera goes to the gay guy's house and then leaves, that happened for literally no fucking reason other than to show us that guy is gay.
Yeah.
I mean, she thought it could be a place she could crash because she couldn't stay at that one dude's house anymore.
But it didn't end up being a place she could stay, so why did it matter?
Because she thought it could be a place she could stay, and then she was wrong, so she left.
This is retarded, Dylan.
I mean, okay, so you guys want me to try to defend movies, and when I don't have logical, like, what I think is logical, trying to defend movies...
These are illogical points you're making.
The fact that you guys think that I am being illogical here, like, what you're saying doesn't make any sense to me, personally.
What do you mean?
I mean, like, if she's going...
There was no knowledge gained or, like, actions performed by her going to that location.
She just thought it was a place she could crash, and when she found it wasn't, then she moved on.
There was no reason for her to go there, though. There was no narrative reason for her to be there. Because the things that actually progressed the plot of the story happened when she went to that other location.
Yeah, like, Dylan, if she fucking stopped by a 7-Eleven to get a fucking Slim Jim real quick because she was hungry and then left, and we never reference the fact that she stopped there, we never see her eating the Slim Jim, then why would that have been in the movie? It's the exact same thing here.
Guys, let me defend Dylan for a second here, because there is, in fact, I think, a discrepancy in the way you guys are viewing these things. So movies don't have to have 100% of the film dedicated to just progressing the plot. You can have some other things that are just for fun, some silly things going on, because it's a movie and you want to watch something that's entertaining. You could maybe go and be, oh yeah, it's kind of funny that he's gay, and they have like a silly interaction with the gay partner. Or, oh yeah, I really liked listening to Cher's performance. I think it was really good. I liked that she was a really good singer. I like listening to her. These are entertainment value things. I think you guys are being a little too mean about the fact that a movie can't have things that are purely just for entertainment.
But Jackson, keep in mind, this movie is very long as well, so shit like that just bogs down the pacing.
I'm not passing this movie. I don't particularly like these scenes either. I'm just trying to give you guys a perspective on it, because I don't think they're particularly good in this film. I'm just saying that movies can do that. This movie's doing it, and it didn't land for us. I also do think this movie's way too fucking long. Holy shit, 2 hours? What?
Because
nothing
it has
happened.
Unnecessary scenes like that.
Nothing happened at all. So I think the issue is more along the lines of this is just wasted time rather than it's just scenes for no reason. Which I guess technically are kind of one and the same, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Basically, if it's a scene that you can, if you pull it out of the movie and nothing fucking changes, it probably shouldn't be in the movie.
Which, by the way, I was baffled that, like, her boss from the very beginning of the movie did not come back into play later on. I was for sure thinking that he was gonna, like, come in at some point and was like, "Where's my money that you stole from me?" And she was gonna say, "You owe me that money, sir." And then, like, the fucking bartender's gonna come in and, like, punch the guy and be like, "Are you all right, ma'am?" It's just some shit like that.
They all have southern accents now.
Wait, what? Did I miss something, by the way? Who was the one that trashed her fucking apartment at the start of the movie?
It
was
just randomly got robbed.
Yeah, it's just random robbery.
The whole time I was assuming the implication was like the guy went in there and like fucking looted her basically. No. And I was like, why did he never come back? I was so confused. I guess just
she
random.
Moved half a country away and nobody knows where she went. How would anybody from her past life know where she went?
I don't know. That's why I was confused. I think just her randomly being robbed is pretty funny though.
Wait, what's the implication there that was the fucking bar owner robbing her?
Why would that be the case, Tanner? Explain that to me.
Why would it be? Why did it happen at all?
I think there's a huge disconnect, and I'm not gonna bother talking about this movie anymore. So I'm just gonna sit here and listen while you guys say whatever you're gonna say.
Okay.
I've got nothing else to say about this film. Yeah, this is a surprisingly heated discussion about this film. I thought it was all just going to be us like, hey, this movie fucking sucked.
It should have been that.
Dylan still has some sort of emotional attachment to it, I guess.
Dude, we're asking you about your opinion on this film. You haven't really said much except for defend.
No,
we're not going to say anything, dude. We're going to shut up.
We've done this before. I don't care. You guys have wanted me to explain.
You've said nothing about this film except for just defend our criticisms.
No, because all these other movies, you guys want me to try to explain why I view a movie the way that I do, and in instances like these where I try to explain why I like parts of movies, you guys think I'm stupid and that my reasonings... I'm mainly looking at Tanner when I say this, because he's the only one that has his camera on. I am staring at Tanner as I have this rant right now. So this is why I try not to worry about details and defending movies, because this is what happens.
Dylan, you realize this is how conversations work, though, right? Like, we also reply to each other when they're making a stupid point.
Yeah, but if I, say something, you're like, no, you're wrong, how does that make any sense? Then I'm just like, I try to explain it.
Because we're explaining why, Dylan.
Yeah, and I was trying to...
We don't have to get into the nitty-gritty of this, too. You don't have to talk about the specific minor details of this film. You can just say your opinions overall about it. Like, oh, yeah, I thought the acting was pretty good. I think the cinematography was overall. I thought it was a pretty entertaining film. You can give stuff like that. You don't have to fucking dig into the details like we're doing.
And that's genuine question. Dylan, did you So for like those specific scenes, let's say, that this argument has sprung from, did you like those? Or are you just like trying to counter our attacks on it?
I can tell when songs are trying to relate to what's going on in the movie. Like that scene where you guys were talking about where Cher sang that song for no reason. It was, yes, we didn't see that song being performed later on. However, it was something that was inserted into the world, and the song was about, like, she's, like, being beaten down.
Right, but did you like that scene?
Yeah, I thought it was fine. I didn't think there was anything wrong with it. Yes? What?
You
want to say something?
That was my whole question, you know?
The scene for entertainment entertained him. I don't think there's anything
It wasn't
wrong
even
with
for
that.
entertainment. The song was about how she's being beaten down, but she's not giving up. And it's like telling a story on how her bar is failing, but just because it's failing, she's not going to continue to try to find solutions to make it so it's not failing anymore. Because it's something she loves and cares about.
They just beat that point over the head so often through the film, though. Like, they have so many discussions about, my bar is failing, I'm not giving up. They talk about it so much. I don't know if they need a whole musical number about it.
Well, just because it's a recurring point and is actually one of the main focuses of this film.
What's the second half of that sentence?
I've got nothing else to talk about with this film. You guys can take the floor.
How long did it take you guys to realize that Cher wasn't Caitlyn Jenner?
What are you talking about?
I never assumed they were Caitlyn Jenner.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
It's a funny joke. Don't worry about it, man.
Don't worry, dude. I was laughing. I'll add in some extra laugh tracks later.
Thank you.
I'm like looking up a picture of Caitlyn Jenner because I don't know what the fuck they look like. Oh, they're the dude.
Yeah.
They're not a dude.
They are a dude.
Weird.
They don't look anything like each other.
They got plastic surgery face.
That's not wrong. So yeah, I guess so. You got me.
So I guess if we don't really have anything else to say about this movie here, Dylan, what's your ranking for this one?
B+.
Whoa! Tanner, how about you, dude?
I'm gonna give this one a D.
Yeah. And Jackson, how about you?
I give this movie a C-. I was in between giving it like a D+ or a C-, but this movie is pretty inoffensive for the most part. I think its cinematography is relatively well done, and for the most part it's okay, but it's definitely long in the tooth. The dialogue is pretty fucking cringy, and the story is absolutely nothing to write home about. So I think it's a pretty below average film overall.
I'm honestly shocked we hadn't mentioned the dialogue previously. The dialogue in this film was atrocious. Probably the worst part of it.
It was literally the first scene of this film. I was cracking up because of how fucking bad it was. Like, this is a horrible omen for this film.
Yeah.
If this is what it's going to be like.
But yeah, I'm right there along with you. Definitely a C- for me too. I think that like fucking the worst. So this is a very common issue with some musicals. You can tell a bad musical from a good one where the songs are going and it does nothing for the plot, okay? Where it's just like, oh, we're doing a musical number now and nothing actually else is going on here. Like, you know, when you watch a Disney film or something like that, when they're singing a song, there's actually shit going on here. And it's not just, hey, everybody, we're singing now.
Also, the musical numbers are bad in this movie.
Yeah, that too.
I'm surprised you guys were only trashing the one solo Cher scene when they had plenty of other just watching burlesque shows happen, and that was like all that was happening. They did that a lot in this.
The Cher one was just like the most egregious to me.
Yeah.
Anyways, that landed at a C overall, which is not that shocking. It is a pretty average film, I would say.
Yeah.
Anyways, that leads us into a very not average film. We watched this one in theaters because it was airing in theaters for some fucking reason. That being the 1997 film Neon Genesis Evangelion, The End of Evangelion, as explained by Tanner. Please tell us in detail, great detail, about the plot of this film.
Okay, so here's what happens. We walk into the theater and Shinji is fucking coming on Asuka's comatose body.
We didn't see that.
We missed that part, unfortunately, but it happens.
It's fucking bullshit, man! How can we miss it?
Because you guys are never early to movies, even though I say you should be.
This is the only time they've ever not had 3 fucking hours of pre-roll ads before a movie.
We were expecting pre-roll, but also, I abdicate all blame because I was in the car ready to go several minutes earlier, so...
I'm an innocent bystander.
You know what? Nico was the last one in the car, so it's his fault we missed the scene. And then fucking they're they're dicking around in the facility for a while, and then Seal fucking attacks with their armies, and they're blowing shit up, and it's crazy and bad. And then Shinji gets in the robot after being molested by Masato. And then the third impact starts, and then it doesn't start, and then it starts again, and then Rei gets big and crazy, and then all the humans are blown up because Shinji wanted that to happen, but then he realized he doesn't, so they go kind of never mind, and then it's him and her on a beach, and she says, fuck you, or
You forgot
something.
about the part where Asuka fights the angels, arguably the best part of the movie.
Asuka fights some angels, Rei has a clitoris on her head, there's all kinds of stuff going on. Here's my haiku as inspired by End of Evangelion.
Oh boy.
Come on, Asuka. Rei's head has a clitoris. Anno's an incel.
Anno.
That's the creator of the thing.
Oh. Yeah, I understood absolutely nothing about this movie. It is literally not even a joke when I say the best part of this movie is when Asuka was fighting the angels.
You didn't like any of the cool fucking tactical shit where the JSSDF was infiltrating Nerve?
Not when you
You didn't
use...
like seeing the cool explosions and shit?
Not when you reuse animated content.
Where?
Specifically outside with, like, the military armament barrage.
I have actually no idea what you're talking about.
You know,
was it really
where the
obvious I
helicopter-
just missed it?
Yeah, like all the helicopters and tanks were doing the same fucking animations when they were shooting the fucking base. Anyway,
Like
that
in just
doesn't
like
matter.
one scene, or they just kept showing the same scene over and over again?
Not like back to back, but they definitely showed the same scene over and over.
That's a very weird criticism. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
I don't
and
remember
think
anything else about this movie, Jackson.
Some of the best animation was literally the fucking JSFTF attacking the Nerve base. That was super well done. You could feel the impact of all the explosions. You could feel the fucking the emotions of all these people being, it's kind of reminded me of like fucking Half-Life 1 when whatever the alternative dimension goes into the base. I can't remember any of the names of anything in Half-Life 1, but TLDR, it's like a fucking underground research lab that gets infiltrated by the military government, and they're just shooting scientists and stuff indiscriminately. Kind of reminded me of that.
Yeah, and you fight like the big baby at the end or whatever.
The big baby.
Jackson,
AKA,
I think
Rey and her fat tits.
Yeah, exactly.
I think you could feel the explosions and stuff because the sound system in the movie theater was turned up incredibly loud and it shook the theater.
Yeah, it was fucking awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna...
I kind of wish we saw more actual fighting. It was mostly just like hallways of Nerve corpses and then, the SEAL guys running around.
Well, I think that's to like really illustrate how out of their element the Nerve people were. Like they talked about how like, they really cut our budget for this shit to like, fight close quarters and like against other people. So it would make sense that like, these people could just easily come in and just slaughter them, which I think, added a lot to like the tension of those scenes.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it is just a fucking research lab basically being infiltrated by a government military force. Like, what the fuck are they supposed to do about that? They have plenty of defensive measures, but they don't really have anything offensive outside the Avas. Honestly, that was the whole purpose of them going there, was to get them to start the third impact.
My only
That's
other
fair
big
enough, I guess.
complaint that I think, I'm sure I maybe share this with probably Tanner. I hate Shinji as a character so much. I hate him so much. I used to not mind him. I thought he was just okay based on these other movies. But no, I hate him so much because all he does is mopes and complains and talks about how much he wants to kill himself. Meanwhile, everybody around him is dying. And then by the time he finally decides to shape up and do something, which in this movie, by the time he does that, everybody's pretty much dead. And also he doesn't do anything because they make it such a big deal that, it's the devil... Eva, and then he doesn't do anything, and then he gets sucked up into space, and then it's all over, everybody dies. This movie does nothing.
Yeah, you not having the context of the anime absolutely ruins the film
But
for
I
you,
asked
because
you
like
if
that's
I-
like the whole point. What do you mean?
I asked if I watched the anime if it would make these movies better, and you're like, no, because you'd have to learn a little more than just what's in the anime, which, if that's the case, that doesn't seem like it would help
If
me at
I
all.
said that previously, I was ignorant then. I don't know how the fuck I would say that. Watching the anime is absolutely giving you context of this shit. I think I initially said that I just didn't know whether or not the anime was like a prerequisite requirement to enjoy this movie.
It 100% is.
Which I didn't know, because I haven't watched this movie in a really long time. I watched this back in like fucking high school after I initially watched Evangelion, so that was, a long ass time ago. I didn't remember fucking anything about this movie, and I think going into it raw and blind basically in a movie theater was the best way of doing it. So no, you got a massive disservice not, getting the character arc of Shinji throughout 24 or 26 episodes of an anime.
What character arc? He seems like he didn't go anywhere.
I mean, if you didn't get 26 episodes of context of his character, I think it's pretty understandable you wouldn't understand his position in all of this.
But
he's a kid that's been fucking beaten down, he's been abused his whole life, he's been neglected. Every time he's sent to go do something, he's immediately shut down, he's in pain, he's getting yelled at, he's still neglected, he's in a horrible headspace. And you want him to just fucking man up and just get it done? No, dude, he doesn't give a shit about anybody. Everyone's a fucking dick to him. No, he doesn't have a single person to latch onto in this fucking world whatsoever. Why would you ever expect it? He's a child, too. He's a child experiencing all of this.
Yeah, what Jackson is saying is he has a reverse character arc where he goes from being relatively normal and active in the beginning of the series to being a piece of shit.
There's a big reason for that, though, Tanner. You see, this film was written as like a fucking... This is the bad ending to the anime, Where in like Evangelion would get that big ending, everyone's clapping for Shinji. That's the good ending. This is if things went horribly wrong and Shinji decided to reject humanity instead. This is what ends up happening because of that. So like this film was written as a response to how people felt about the original anime's ending, and you can definitely fucking feel it. Because, like, Shinji's supposed to be, like, the audience surrogate or whatever. Like, he's us. And so this is how Anno views us. We're just people want to fucking jack off to Asuka and be recluses and reject, like, self-improvement and shit like that, which is what the original ending was trying to sort of preach. Like, hey, you can improve if you really, like, want to and, like, reach out to people. But no, apparently you don't want to do that. You don't like that idea. So here, watch this big action fight where Asuka gets fucking obliterated. And then guess what? You want lore? Everyone wants lore for Evangelion. Check it out. Look at all this fucking lore. You like it? You enjoying the lore now? Hey, Shinji's fucking killing Asuka at the end. That's how I view you. Fuck all of you.
Yeah, I definitely suffered from the Jackson syndrome watching this movie. Yeah, because
the Jackson syndrome. What is the Jackson syndrome?
I haven't watched anything else to do with the Evangelion, so it made this movie bad.
Oh, you're talking about fucking Dragon Ball?
Dragon Ball and also fucking Guardians 3. Anyway.
Jackson syndrome might be a good name for that, actually. I like that.
But here's the thing, and this is just to hop back to this tangent really quick, because I remember walking out of the movie theater, and I was like, Jackson, that movie was awful. Do you think I would understand more or not if I went to go watch the anime? And you're like, well, you can watch the anime, but I don't think it's going to help you understand, like, what just happened. And that's what I got out of that.
Oh, I do remember saying that now. That's the reason I'll just still defend that point, actually, because with Evangelion, you really have to be, like, pretty introspective about these characters. And I'm not trying to, this isn't a slight towards you, but you definitely look at things pretty surface level with this type of shit. Again, I'm not trying to, like, make a slight. We definitely all have our types of mediums, but Evangelion is a pretty deep subject matter. A lot of people will watch it and just think it's cool robots fighting each other when, there's a lot more going on below, the surface. And I think most people, especially, like, just from your retrospective about watching the Rebuild films, I would imagine if you're watching the original series, you'd probably be into this cool robot shit, not really understand what's going on with the emotional stuff, and then the ending final episode, you're like, what the fuck is going on? And maybe you'd go watch some videos about it to get some explanation, but I'm just saying I don't know if it would have worked on you.
I mean, I don't know. I kind of liken it more to something like Kingdom Hearts, I guess, where, like, on the surface, like, if you're just, like, watching, like, one thing, like, in fucking isolation from, like, all the other shit, it looks like it's insanely complicated and shit like that. But, like, if you, like, actually just, like, I don't know, sit down and, like, have it, like, basically explained to you or, like, kind of experience, like, the whole thing, I think it's very easy to grasp. I don't think it's, like,
once
that
you have
deep.
the thing explained to you, you'll understand what the thing is.
Here's the
if you
thing.
just experience it normally.
Here's the thing, I do try to take the easiest route possible. I do try to just have surface level. The issue I had with this movie is because when I was first introduced to Evangelion, it was the rebuilt movies, which was a hell of a lot of angels fighting each other, like lots of robots fighting angels. That's what I thought Evangelion was about. Watching this movie and having that be the complete opposite, if I know there needs to be more to a world, like for example, when I watched Attack on Titan, at first it was cool because it was like, people fighting titans, that was the thing. Then the story deepened and I wanted to understand more. If I knew that's how Evangelion padded out, Of course I'm gonna want to understand how the world works. It's just I didn't like this movie because I didn't have that introduction. I would like to understand Evangelion more in depth, but if all I knew was fighting robots, and that's not what this movie was, then that's kind of an expected outcome.
Yeah, fair enough, and that's why I'm saying it's a disservice that you weren't able to watch the original for it.
I'll probably rate this movie higher if I watch the anime when we get to our re-rankings. We'll see.
As the resident Evangelion hater here, I have seen the show. I've seen this movie before. I still don't really like it all that much, so I don't know if watching the show will actually help you, Dylan.
Well,
and
yeah, given your ranking of A Silent Voice, I can't imagine a deeply emotional topic addressing, fucking reclusion of society, neglect, all these things would resonate much with you.
Here's my thing. I don't think Evangelion is deep. I think it's obtuse, and purposely so. So I find it kind of pretentious. Do you
not agree with the fact that if so many people can find value in something that could be deeper than it, do you really think that everybody is just a fucking douchebag that doesn't actually, that is like, it's just faux intellectualism, and that everybody is just falling into that, and it is really just dumb shit with robots punching each other that's just supposed to be like grabbing your attention, and it's actually not deep at all?
Yes. I 100% am more willing to believe that.
That's crazy.
To each their own, I guess. Everyone else is wrong but you.
Yeah, everyone's entitled to be retarded every now and then, Tanner.
Yeah. I mean, listen, a large group of people can become convinced of something, especially when it becomes like a popular belief in the culture.
Yeah, liberals.
The big thing with art, though, is even if, let's say somebody writes a story with a relatively open ending, right? People can infer lots of different things based around what could be happening with it, how it's supposed to end, things like that. Art, just generally speaking, is open to interpretation. There's a lot of different things you can grab from it. Somebody can grab something completely different than a story that somebody else does because of maybe their own life experiences and things like that. They can resonate with characters more than somebody else can and get completely different experiences out of it. And I think that is what makes Evangelion deep, is because it has those types of patterns that people can agree with. Plus, there's just a lot of thought that goes into the creation of this story. And that's where I'm coming from in terms of like its deep or not debate. I think there's more going on than you'd imagine, but you're just not grabbing onto it because there's nothing to latch on from your perspective.
I kind of disagree. I think oftentimes with a lot of these series and franchises that are like super deep, a lot of that stuff is extrapolation made by the fan base that was never actually intended by the creator.
But that's what I'm saying. The whole point of art is that everything is open to interpretation, and I don't think that's something that's wrong. I think some movies are better than that than others. I don't think there's much you can grasp out of burlesque compared to something like Evangelion, because it's just a lot more complex. I think the complexity of Evangelion is a big part as to why people could say it's deep, because there's more to interpret, there's more to piece together. It's like, like fucking stories in like literature classes in school, like in my college classes, I had to fucking read stories and we had to write our own interpretations of the events, we had to kind of decipher what was happening. It's kind of like what's going on with Evangelion. There's like a ton of different ways you could look at this story. There's a ton of different ways you can break it down, and maybe if a bunch of people all started agreeing on one thing, even if it's not what the author intended, that's still a valid way of looking at it. Just because the author didn't intend it to be that way doesn't make it wrong.
Yeah, Tanner, do you believe in the death of the author?
I don't know what that means. Here's a big difference between you and me here, Jackson, is like if you see, having a lot of complexity and open-endedness, it allows, interpretation and blah, 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 and people can kind of build their own narratives. To me, that just means that the creator was too lazy to make their own message, their own, defined, plotted-out message.
It sounds like you're just going under the assumption that that's the case, though, Tanner.
I think there's absolutely themes that the author of the production studio and the writers were trying to go with, just because maybe the people that are watching this don't totally agree with that or extrapolate their own in interpretations of the event doesn't make it bad. I think Evangelion absolutely has an excuse to be made, mostly just because it was kind of like a form of expression about what the author was going through at the time.
Yeah, I'm just of the position that, that lack of clarity is a detriment to, any book, movie, song, whatever.
That's fair enough. Honestly, we all enjoy things for different reasons. I like to be able to get to the end of something and have something to ponder on, rather than just be like, this is what you should be taking away from it. Because that's not as, gripping to me, personally.
I'm absolutely right there with you. I think that, like, there is a lot of fun that I do derive from, like, the dissection of media, like, after I finished it. I think that's a big part of why I enjoy Nier so much. It's just that sort of, like, what I'm able to extrapolate from it afterwards, just on top of it being a really solid game, just, like, being able to dive more in depth with it is a massive reason as to why I love that series.
Yeah, I'm more of the mind of, like, my pondering comes when a piece of media has presented me with a point and a message, and then I can go, do I agree or disagree with this? Instead of, like, having to assemble a point on my own, which is inevitably going to be tainted by my preconceived biases.
I do like that, of course, Neon Genesis Evangelion, the end of Evangelion, is the movie that has us talking for half an hour about just fucking art and literature as a topic, and not really that much.
You know what, you're right, this is a perfect movie.
We really haven't said much about this fucking film, to be completely honest. You guys are ragging on it a bit at the start, and then it just got into this fucking stupid topic, like we're in a fucking college lecture.
Hey man, this is what the people want to hear, you know? This is some philosophy 101 right here.
That's why I've been quiet this whole time.
This is barely a review of the movie at this point.
It's a review of what a review of the movie would be like.
Facts. This is what to expect going into this review, guys. Anyways, let's go into the actual review.
Yes.
Guapish in the minds of the movies.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't really have an actual, like, ton to say about this film, which is crazy. I think this is a really cool experience. I like the times with all the stuff about the theater shit. We were all because I had forgotten everything about this film going into it. We were all like, what the fuck is going on when they played the credits in the middle of the sequence? But the whole point of that was to kind of like unnerve you a little bit. And it was also supposed to make the ending of the film hit a lot harder because of just how abrupt it is. Like, you really get to the end and you're like, what the fuck? That's it? That's the end? Yeah, because it's the bad end. It's not supposed to be a good thing. It's supposed to be really abrupt and jarring. That was the whole point. And I think that the way they structured the film really hit home with that. A lot of the experimental shit they did was just cool, I would say.
Are you sure that wasn't just the theater playing like a TV edit?
No, that was straight up just how they aired the movie. That's just what it is.
Okay.
Yeah, I looked that up afterward as well, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, that did not connect with me at all, unsurprisingly.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people are talking about, like, the scenes of, like, looking at a movie theater and the empty seats and shit, and that's supposed to be some metaphorical shit to, like, make you more introspective about what you're watching. That didn't really work on me, to be completely honest. Like, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah, I didn't understand the whole last half of the movie.
Yeah, I read some comments about people who are like, oh yeah, no, I could imagine I was watching this film by myself in my house, and I was so confused about the people, the fucking movie theater scene and shit, and that I watched it in the films, like, it all connected, this is so cool, this is crazy. And I was sitting here like, okay, this is kind of weird. But also maybe that was just because I was kind of getting caught up in the wave of you guys saying there's like some weird TV edit, and I wasn't really taking it for what it is. Which also maybe kind of goes into Tanner's argument, like, this is a bit too open-ended, and I'm being tainted by my preconceived notions of it, which fair enough. But generally, I think this movie's really good. I think the animation's fucking awesome. I think this is some of, if not the best 2D animated like robot action shit we've seen. Not even digging into like action. the non-surface level stuff. Yeah, I know the fucking Ava's fighting was super incredible. I think the animation for the digital scene was awesome. I think just the absurdity of the third impact is incredibly well done, and really just goes to show how crazy all of this shit is. It unnerves you. It makes you uncomfortable. I think it's all very well done.
Like that part where like it's showing like Shinji as a small child, he's like building that sandcastle. There's like the fucking swing going back and forth and shit like that. I really like that section. It reminded me of It reminded me a lot of like analog horror shit you'd see nowadays. Just like the way all of that was paced.
I agree. I was thinking that as well.
That was literally exactly what I was thinking when I was watching it. Even like this staticky kind of like TV noises you're hearing while watching it, I was straight up like, this is a fucking like precursor to analog horror, which was cool.
Yeah, I didn't understand that scene at all. What was that supposed to mean?
I mean, there's a lot of ways you could interpret it. I think.
Well, never mind.
A big way you could interpret it is maybe just like Shinji's struggle in general. He's like putting a lot of work into something and then realizes it's all kind of for naught, and then gets angry when he like destroys it himself.
I just assumed that it was supposed to be a representation of Nerve and that he hated Nerve, so he wanted it destroyed.
You could also interpret it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of this
He
film
is-
is just like fucking Shinji's angst to just
Yeah.
fucking distilled for the most part, and just like showing his like relationship with the way that he treats other people. Shit like fucking where he's like talking to like Asuka and shit like that. In his fucking mindscape or whatever the fuck, where it's like, Shinji, you fucking psycho, I hate you, okay, I hate you, I fucking despise you, I know what you did to me, you piece of shit. And he's like, please, I just need you to fix me. And when she rejects him, he just immediately lashes out with pure anger. Shinji is an incel confirmed, Tanner.
Yeah,
Thank
despite to me, I'm not gonna really get much more into this because one, this movie for me felt one single noted, and like. There was just too much I didn't understand, so just based on that, there's nothing really else for me to break down in this movie. If you guys say something, and I tag on, that might be it, but I really don't have anything to say about this movie, for better or for worse.
Dylan, you talked about this movie more than I expected you to, so I appreciate that at least. Given,
I did a lot
what
of
you've said.
thinking, dude. I did a lot of thinking.
Yeah. Do we have anything else to say?
I like that Shinji's father just like completely got rejected from even like being able to be fucking turned into goop. He was like the only person we saw where it's like, yeah, no, you're a fucking horrific person and we despise you. You're getting nothing except for death here.
Yeah, you do not even get to be part of the...
I thought everybody did die.
Yeah, he died, but he didn't get turned to goop, Dylan. He didn't
No,
get to
I
go
thought-
with everyone else.
I thought getting turned into goop was death.
No.
No, that's the instrumentality. That's everybody turning into a sea of LCL is the whole point of everyone becoming one, basically. That's like the metaphor of like water, you know, everyone's combining into like one entity, everyone's one, human
The liquid
instrumentality.
is like living people?
Yeah.
What the
You can interpret it that way.
That's horrendous.
It's like the next stage of humanity, Dylan.
Okay, well.
I fucking love the ending scene of him just immediately lashing out at Asuka again with his anger. Really solidifies what the themes of the movie are. Also, that scene, I haven't watched this movie in a million years, and watching the Rebuild series, it kind of fucking bastardizes that scene, looking back on it now.
Yeah.
Not a huge fan of that. Like, why the fuck was Asuka's clothes like ripped all up and shit in the Rebuild theme? It's like supposed to be like some weird fan service scene.
Yeah.
What the fuck was up with that? That shit was weird.
Wait, this happened in the rebuild service scene? What? This was in the
I'm
other
talking
movies?
about the Rebuild scenes where they literally did the ending scene of Shinji and Asuka on the beach. They redid that scene in like 3.0+1, I think was the one they did it in.
I missed that one.
And they kind of bastardized it. But that's not here or there. That's talking about a completely different fucking movie. Who cares?
Yeah. I've heard people say it like, oh, no, it's like a happy ending, you know? Shinji stops.
That's terrible.
No, dude, no. I think him being part of the LCL liquid would have been better than what he did. But yeah, no, him completely abandoning society and even going for that route at all in the first place proves that it's not a good ending.
Well,
which,
what
the rebuild series is really the good ending because he's living happily.
Yeah.
What I read when we were watching it is like people can like. 'Cause this is what I'm inferring. This could be wrong. What I saw was people can choose to live if they can represent themselves strong enough in their mind and they have the strong enough will to live. Then they can turn themselves back into human. But if they don't have that will
Correct.
to live, then they remain in that form.
Correct.
So other than that, I was just like, so basically Shinji and Asuka are the only two people left on this planet, and he
I mean, they're
chose
the only ones
for it
we
to be that
see.
way. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
but that was my interpretation of like he really just goes to just try to murder her after. No, I don't know. I don't know. This
That's
movie
how
didn't
much he's
connect on.
rejecting humanity, Dylan. Personally, for me, like Shinji, like not being part of like the LCL, it's not necessarily that like he just wants to live so much. It's that he just does not want to be around other people so much and rejects others that he does not want to be part of this big conglomerate at all.
The only person I think it is cool too that the touch with that is that the only person he actually let fully connect with him was Rei.
Yeah.
Which is cool because she was the only person that was with him in that moment.
Well, and also fucking Koru, whatever the fuck the gay guy's name is.
Kaworu.
Oh, Kaoru.
Yeah. Because, like, when, like, everyone's fucking turning into goop, like, they see it, like, I guess, like, the person who they most care about. And, like, Koru's the one who fucking appears before him, who, like, springs forth from Rei to be like, hey, dude, it's all chill. Like, come on, let's do the thing.
Yeah, he was the only person that showed him genuine compassion when
Yeah.
he fucking killed him in the anime.
Spoilers.
True.
Anyway, I feel like this has gone on long enough.
I did expect this movie to be the one we talked about the most. I'm pretty sure it ended up being the one we talked about the most.
Yeah, for sure.
Probably.
I guess I'll kick us off. I think this movie's fucking awesome. I really enjoyed this movie. I would even go as far to say this is my favorite movie we watched this week. And I gave it an S.
Beautiful, dude. Tanner, how about you, dude? You got some shifty eyes going there.
I gave this, it's not my lowest rank this week. I gave this one a C+.
Jesus.
Jesus, are you gonna rate it even lower?
Either that or I'm ranking it higher. You'll never know.
Well, we have to know right now, Dylan. What are you giving it?
Damn it. I gave it a C-.
Wow. All right.
It
What
really
an unexpected turn of events.
It really does you a disservice when you understand absolutely zero about what's going on in a movie, and it was kind of just a visual spectacle, and that was kind of it.
How did you get to C- then? Because I feel like if you had no fucking idea what was happening and it was a nothing movie to you, you would have rated it a lot lower. What was there to latch on that put it into like a low average film for you?
I can appreciate the animation, the voice acting. That was it.
Okay. And that shit was incredible, so I guess that was enough to kick her up there. All right, Nico, how about you?
So I did really like this movie. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Similar situation to Jackson here. The last time I watched this movie was like back in high school, and I initially watched 3 Evangelion. And at the time, I really did not like this movie at all. I was a fucking hater, just like Tanner was. I despised this movie. I was like, this shit is just like some fucking pseudo-intellectual garbage. Fuck this movie. I hate Evangelion. It's just some shit where it's like, oh, yeah, it's so deep because it's like symbolism or some shit where you have to like fucking figure it out for yourself. But like, now that I've had time to like, actually like, grow a little bit, figure out how to like really analyze media and shit like that, I liked this movie significantly more this time around. However, I do think that this movie is a bit too obtuse for a lot of people. I don't think that like it's that insanely deep, but at the same time, I do acknowledge that there is a pretty decent barrier to entry to actually enjoy this film for a lot of people. And I do think that generally, when you're watching media, it should be like on the surface level a really good thing that you don't have to dig super deep into to really get much out of it. And I unfortunately do think this movie does fall into that. So I think I'm gonna give this one a B+.
But why are you talking about like all this shit about other people when you're the one rating this fucking movie?
Dude, I'm a man of the people, okay?
I think that's a non-valid way of ranking movies, but to each their own, I guess. And that lands it at a B overall. This is a very divisive film, unsurprisingly.
How does that mean it compares to the other Evangelions?
Very low.
It's definitely the lowest rated.
Yeah, it's the lowest rated. The 3.0 was the second lowest rated at a B+.
Jesus, yeah.
Okay.
And I think I rated that one pretty low. No, I gave it an A+.
Honestly, I think that does make sense, though, for this film. I feel like this is absolutely, like, the most controversial of the bunch.
True.
Yeah, no, this is the fucking most ridiculous shit we watched in a while, I would say. Speaking of ridiculous shit we're watching, Tanner, what are you picking?
Oh boy. Well, guys, it's the last week of Marchville, where I will be picking a Marvel film in March. I'll just apologize for choosing this one in advance, you guys, but we're gonna be watching The Eternals.
Oh, God.
I've been told that one's bad.
I believe it is the lowest grossing Marvel film.
Uh-oh. I can't remember. The Eternals is like the band of like superhero gods or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. It has Kumail Nanjiani in it.
You say that as if I'm supposed to know who that is.
And also maybe Selma Hayek. I might be making that one up.
I also don't know. I feel like you made both those names up.
Well, hold on a second.
Well, I certainly can't wait for that. As for me, I'm going to be picking our very first Ignore Speed Racer, our very first live-action adaptation of an anime/manga. And I am going to be picking...
Attack on Titan, Attack on Titan, Attack
no.
on Titan.
Old Boy.
Damn it.
What boy?
Old Boy.
Bold Boy.
Old Boy. Specifically
Old
the
Boy.
Korean version. We're not doing the US remake they did.
Wow, that's shocking, actually.
The 2003 film?
Probably.
You know what that means. It's time to roll our Patreon request of
Let's
the week.
go.
For only $1 a month, one singular dollar, you can request a movie every single month. And this month, or this week, we're getting the movie Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius, a 2001 film as requested by Steve Harvey's Ghost.
Yeah,
Thank you for
Hunter
requesting
Nikolai
that movie.
right there.
Yo, this movie was my shit when I was a kid.
Fantastic. I can't wait.
And I especially can't wait for Jackson to read off how you too can suggest movies in the Patreon.
I found it. Guys, if you subscribe to the Patreon, why do you keep making me do this shit? If you guys just subscribe to the Patreon, you get access to our pre-Guap pre-show, you get early access to all the episodes occasionally, you get access to our Discord, which lets you, request movies and topics, and use our slime bot for 500 free slime coins. And that's it. That's all you fucking get. Nothing more, except for your name being read by somebody who's going to do that now.
I guess I'll do it. Fucking, thank you very much to Netagant, Raheem Rajwani, Kyler Nikolai, Oh My Goinky Sploinky, Top Ramen Man, Joshua Bean, Dylan, I've kidnapped your family. If you ever want to see them alive again, you'll need to rank No Country for Old Men higher. Tutbot, Lucas Ledette, Hunter, and Jacob Edwards.
I didn't hear you pronounce the Ellen Sploinky, you son of a bitch, but I hope you enjoyed, and we'll be seeing you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.